Right in the pounding heart of London's financial district lives a railway quite unlike anything else in all of London City. A line hidden away and frozen in time. A line that, if you ever stumbled across it, you wouldn't quite believe it existed. This is the Northern City Line, London's very own time capsule railway.
People of the internet, I am rather sweaty for what is supposed to be an October day, but I'm also very sweaty because I'm underground. And I mean, railway line that used to be a London Underground line, now it's a national rail line, and I bet it's one you may not have even heard of because it's basically London's own time capsule railway. This is the Northern City Line, and I've got someone with me to help me explore it. John!
Hello!
My friend John, who works for TfL.
I do work for TfL.
So you are the knowledge for this one.
Sort of, although this isn't TfL land, this is Network Rail. So.
It is, yeah. This is a bizarre one. This is a line that used to be a London Underground line.
Until the mid-70s, this was part of the Northern Line.
Yes,
Northern Line Highbury branch.
Yeah, and it bizarrely only went as far as Drayton Park, even though it wasn't actually.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weird one. You'll get the sense during this video that the theme of this line is that it's a bit weird. And we decided to get it now before they introduce new trains to the line, because the whole thing, including the, how many years old are the trains? Help me with maths here.
78, like 40.
The 42 years old, smooth cut there. We'll just put that in. Yeah, so 42-year-old trains. And we also have signage from the 1980s. That's the thing as well. So, it's a bizarre little line. So I thought we'd check it out today.
Originally built by the Great Northern and City Railway and opened in 1904, the Northern City Line runs from Moorgate to Finsbury Park via Old Street, Essex Road, Highbury and Islington and Drayton Park. The line existed as an isolated branch of the Northern Line for decades, and was even cut back to Drayton Park for a period in 1964. Only in 1976, when the line was handed over to British Rail, was it finally connected up with the rest of the network, linking with the main lines from King's Cross to run services out to Stevenage, Welwyn Garden City and beyond. As a result of this rather isolated past, the line carries an eerie, mysterious quality even to this day, and right from the start of our journey at Moorgate, there's much to look out for.
We're starting off our journey at Moorgate, which is obviously where the line starts, and what's your favourite anachronisms from around here? Because let's just start off with all the things that are kind of out of place around here.
I just love the old NSE branding. NSE is great.
You mean this NSE branding?
Oh yes.
You mean the branding that's not changed since the 1980s?
Now for context, Network South East was a subsection of British Rail originally introduced in 1986, which went away again in 1994 after the privatisation of British Rail. That means the Network South East signage still in situ up and down the entire Northern City Line is anywhere between 25 and 33 years old. The tunnel mouth on Platform 9 also carries a dark past. It's the site of the Moorgate tube disaster of 1975, to this day the worst accident in London Underground history. Our first stop northbound on our journey is at Old Street, where we found some rare peace and quiet in the bustle of the city, in the most unlikely of locations.
So we're at Old Street Station, which is the first stop on the line, and I almost feel like we're in a library. I almost feel like we need to talk in hushed tones. I cannot tell you how quiet this station is.
If you were to go one level down to the tube lines, it would be bustling, hustling. You go upstairs, you've got the Old Street roundabout, which is huge and so busy, and then just here it's just quiet, serene. You hear your voice echo. It's just a ventilation unit.
For context, this isn't even late at night. This is 1:30 in the afternoon.
So you've got bankers who'll go in to get lunches and go to meetings and
we're basically in
go
the
to
city of
Airport.
London.
Now it's probably about time to discuss something else that's very old down here on the Northern City Line. Something older still than the 1980s signage. The 1970s rolling stock.
Is it now that we talk about the state of the trains on this line?
Yes.
Because on this line, well, not for much longer, which is partly why I wanted to video now, they're running Class 313s, which are
the oldest EMU running on British Rail, bar the Iron Line, but the Iron Line doesn't count.
So, except for that, the oldest electric multiple units running in the UK, and let's just say they used to be operated by First Capital Connect, and you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. They're still running the old livery. You can still see the old operator label coming through.
They've kind of just sandblasted off the bit of the old logo and just like slap a Great Northern sticker on it.
And then it's spread to the rest of the livery because all the trains are like the wrap, what is it? It used to be called the City Lines livery, that's what it was called.
That's it.
And it's just white, just coming off. It's like someone scrubbed the trains with a giant Brillo pad. Thought, hey, that will do.
And it's going to look a little bit weird with all of this.
Brand new modern trains from Germany.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we saw, when we first got here, we actually saw one of the new Class 717s on test. And it just looks weird. It's like shiny, sleek, new train from the 21st century in the 1970s, basically.
Yeah.
The next stop on our journey is perhaps the one station on the entire line that sums up everything we love about it the most. The haunting and utterly charming Essex Road.
So now we're on the next stop up the line, which is Essex Road, which is, now that this isn't a London Underground line anymore, the only subsurface National Rail line station that isn't also a London Underground station in London.
Yes.
That.
Got that in one. Good job. Good job.
So if anything, the fact that this has no interchange with any other London Underground station, it's the only one on the line that doesn't, means if anything this is even quieter.
It's dead quiet, not even any Northern Line trains rumbling.
No.
The closest thing you have to sort of hustle and bustle is the lift. The station has a lift.
You occasionally hear a door opening from down.
I'm genuinely surprised the station.
And even that section looks creepy as hell, because there's a little back section where there's a little, you almost look through this little abandoned shaft.
Oh my god.
It genuinely looks like that film Creep.
It's just got this banner of Network Southeast.
Yeah.
It's great.
You really can't tell. Oh, I wonder where I am. Is it Essex Road potentially? I don't know.
Yeah, in case you didn't look behind you.
In case you didn't notice the signs up here, the signs over there. The Network Southeast era maps that are also here.
They're great.
Which may be my favourite thing about the station.
But also the most pointless thing about the station.
Yeah, there's one that's like full length, it extends out, and that looks amazing. It shows you the whole line. And then there's one that shows you the line back to Moorgate.
2 other stops.
2 stops in a straight line.
I found my new pastime, making echoes at Essex Road.
Next up the line is Highbury and Islington, which nowadays connects side by side with the Victoria line and provides an interesting visual contrast when switching between the two lines. Have you ever wanted to travel back in time by walking down a single corridor? Beyond that, the line emerges into daylight for the first time at our next stop, Drayton Park. For a time, when the Victoria line took over the original deep-level terminating platforms at Finsbury Park in 1964, this was the terminus of the line. And outside of a few curious features, it's not really the most glamorous of stations in the world.
The fact that we're now not underground anymore means we're at the next stop, which is Drayton Park.
Change here for the Emirates.
Yes, or not.
No.
The Emirates is literally, I can see it, it's just up there, but there's no access to the station on match days.
You can see the bridge in the background, just there.
This thing, yes. There it is.
That's the bridge.
That's the bridge into the Emirates Stadium.
You can also change here for a rusty, crumbling...
And a knackered tannoy system.
God.
If you're not coming to Drayton Park to go to the football, why are you coming to Drayton Park?
Old carriage sheds.
Yes, there we go. Biggest clue of this line's London Underground heritage is the fact there is now a fairly overgrown, it's basically a forest now, but in amongst all that, old carriage sidings for when this was the London Underground line, and I believe it was Victoria line stock when it first opened.
Yeah.
It was stored in there. And obviously now the sheds are all gone, but the lines are still in there, and you can see some of the inspection pits in there.
Yeah, it looks like old platforms, but obviously not platforms.
Also, much more modern signs here. No Network Southeast here.
Not signs anyway.
It's the brand new company called First Capital Connect.
Yeah, they were the thing.
They were the thing.
They were the thing.
Can't go over that tannoy. Platform 1.
Onwards now to our final stop on the line at Finsbury Park, a stop with almost as much of a complex history as the entire line itself. Deep breath, this one's a bit tricky to explain.
Right, so we're at the end of our current journey, although it's not the end of the line by any means. No. We're at Finsbury Park, which is the big mainline station. A lot of nice HSTs. We've been distracted by that.
HSTs and Darth Vaders.
And Darth Vaders,
That's what people call them, Class 180s.
Darth Vaders. Yeah. And so this is where the Northern City line used to terminate, and then didn't, and now doesn't because it goes through it.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Because it used to terminate here on what are now the Victoria line platforms down below. And then the Victoria line, when that was built in the 60s, they were like, yeah, we're having those.
Yeah, move away. No one uses you.
So, originally, they were supposed to already be coming through Finsbury Park on the ramps coming up from Drayton Park that got built in the before the Second World War. Then the war sort of happened and disturbed that, as it kind of disturbed a lot of things. And then it was only in the 1970s when the line was finally transferred to British Rail that I thought, you know those ramps that we didn't put tracks on?
We should put tracks on
We should
them.
finally put tracks on them, and now we're here.
Tracks on them and go out to like Stevenage and stuff.
And so 72 years after it first opened, after many failed attempts, including in 1913 a proposal by the Metropolitan Railway to link it to the Circle and Waterloo and City lines, the Northern City line finally got its connection to the rest of the rail network here at Finsbury Park. Patience is indeed a virtue. And with that, it was time to head back into London and reflect on this strange little oddity of a line that holds a charm quite unlike anything else in London.
Well, that, folks, is the Northern City line. I think
It was good.
Yeah,
It's good. It's like going back in time.
It basically is. That's why I like to call it the Time Capsule Railway.
Nothing's changed apart from the train operator.
No.
Rolling stock's the same. Signage is the same.
Yep.
Track is actually the same.
Yep. So it's got signs in the 1980s, trains in the 1970s, track from the
before when it was handed over.
from whenever that is. So
Probably the 60s maybe.
track from the 60s, but it is a line that I kind of love. I really like this little line. I'm glad we explored it today. Thank you so much for coming along.
No worries, thanks for
For
inviting
coming
me.
along.
Since the filming of this video, certain aspects of the Northern City line have indeed been modernised. The 1980s signage has mostly been covered over, and new Class 717 trains are replacing the worn-out Class 313 units to finally give them a happy retirement. And while it's good to see the line get some much-needed TLC in order to give commuters a slightly nicer journey to and from work, the haunting atmosphere of this line remains intact. There is ultimately still nothing in the whole of London quite like the utterly bewitching Northern City line. This has been Another Station, Another Mile. We'll see you guys next time.